All right, let's get started. Hi, Insiders. Thanks for joining us again for our second virtual event. This is going to be a very special tour led by Sami Abu Shumays, who is the Deputy Director of Flushing Town Hall, and he's also an artist, so we're going to be getting a special violin performance at the end of the tour. So I will just let Sami take it away. Everyone is muted for now, but we will open it up at the end for Q&A. So you can ask Sami questions. You can also send chats through the group chat, questions to me. And if there's an opportune time while Sami's giving the tour, I will interject and ask. Okay, great. Thank you, Sami, for doing this.
We're excited. Thanks, Michelle. Welcome, everybody. This is Flushing Town Hall, historic Flushing Town Hall, built in 1862. My name is Sami Abu Shumays, and I'm Deputy Director here at Flushing Town Hall. We like to start a lot of our events by acknowledging that we're on the traditional land of the Matinacock people, one of the first tribes of New York and the original people of Flushing, Queens, who continue to live and work on the land to this day. I'm in the foyer of beautiful Flushing Town Hall. You can see some of that. You got to see some of the exterior. Before I tell you a little bit more about the building, I do want to spend a word on Flushing itself. Flushing is actually named after a Dutch name, Vlissingen, and Flushing is the birthplace of religious freedom in the United States. A document in 1657 called the Flushing Remonstrance laid the groundwork for Quakers to be able to practice in the colonies. A bunch of town leaders wrote a letter to the East India Company, to Governor Stuyvesant, the Dutch governor, actually calling not only for the rights of Quakers to practice, but for the rights of Jews and Muslims and Hindus in 1657. So we are living in one of the most diverse places in the country, a lot of religious pluralism. Flushing Town Hall, where I'm standing, was actually built in 1862 to be the town hall of the city of Flushing before the incorporation of the city of New York. From 1862 on, it served a variety of functions. P.T. Barnum and Tom Thumb performed here. Frederick Douglass spoke here in 1865. And there were a number of events welcoming home soldiers from the Civil War. In 1898, it became a courthouse. And then in 1960, it was decommissioned and sat unused for a while. There was a failed dinner theater here in the mid to late 70s. And then the building became abandoned and was going to be condemned. But we were able to move in 1990, and we did this interior restoration that created the cultural facility I'm about to show you. So we are an exterior landmark, 1862, but the interior, some of it is original and some of it was reconstructed by us. So let's have a look. I'm going to start by taking us into our art gallery, and let me switch the view around a little bit. Michelle, if you don't mind swapping me out so my screen is the one that's on the main screen, that'd be great. So here we are in our art gallery. We have a lovely two-room art gallery, and we don't have a permanent collection, but what we do have is a lot of rotating exhibits. This exhibit happens to still be up. It would have come down in mid-March. But this is an exhibit featuring Queens-based artists. It's called Creative Mosaic, artists working in Queens. Here you can see our beautiful window. That's where we get our logo from. So we have a lot of lovely artwork here on the wall, each one from a different Queens-based artist. My boss and I were looking at this one the week we had to cancel all the programs, holding our heads in our hands. Anyway, this is the other room in our gallery. And the gallery peeks out into a garden, which I'll show you in 1 second here. I'm not going to take anybody outside, but here's our garden. We have some events that happen there. A lot of people host weddings, parties during the summer. So yeah, so that is our art gallery. And we have rotating exhibits, sometimes international exhibits, a lot of Chinese and Korean artists because of our immediate neighborhood. a lot of Queens-based artists, and a lot of partnerships. Here I am back in our hallway, and I'm going to show you a little bit of our gift shop before we take you upstairs to the theater. You can see we're a member of the Smithsonian Institution there. So we're going to take a walk into the gift shop here. Gift shop doubles as our box office. And hope I'm keeping this pretty steady. We have a lot of local Queens-based gifts from Queens artists, some fantastic jewelry and other items. Just in general, and this is also where our box office is. We're a modest-sized building, but we do have some nice things to offer, and this is where you'll come if you come to see a show. So I'm going back out. So this is our lovely staircase. Let me just sort of give you a little view of that. The staircase is original. And here's a little bit of our Jazz Greats Gallery. Flushing Town Hall has a mission to present global arts for a global community. And one of the things we present is a lot of jazz. We present jazz in part because there's a legacy of jazz in Queens. And in about 1998, we developed this Queens Jazz Trail map, which shows a lot of the great jazz artists who lived in Queens. You can see Billie Holiday, Dizzy Gillespie, Louis Armstrong, of course his house is nearby. So we present lots of jazz concerts annually, and we like to celebrate that history. I'm gonna take a little walk up these stairs. You guys can walk with me. Here we go. So the gallery and the offices are on the first floor. On the second floor, we have the theater. But before we go in, I do want to show you across the street. So here we are upstairs. And across the street, you can see right there is the Quaker Meeting House built in 1695. Once the Quakers were allowed to practice freely between the early 1640s and 50s until 1695, they were practicing privately in houses illegally, and then they built this meeting house in 1695 once they were allowed to practice. So it's a bit of a view of Flushing, the Armory, and here we are, we're going to take a look into our theater. So this is Flushing Town Hall's theater. We are the state-of-the-art theater for presenting music and dance and theatrical performances. 308 seats in total, but as you can see, these seats are removable, so we have a lot of different kinds of settings where we present different kinds of things. And behind me is our balcony. I'm going to show you that in 1 second. Pardon me. Still getting used to that, yeah. So there I am, and you can see the balcony behind me and our theater. And hopefully the next time you see this theater, you'll be here with 299 other people enjoying a show that we put on. We do a lot of world music, a lot of jazz, as I mentioned, some traditional dance, some classical music, a lot of education work for young audiences. We serve about 22,000 New York City school students annually with high quality education programs, a lot of them featuring international artists. So yeah, so this is what we have in our theater. And I'll show you a couple other little spaces that are next to the theater. So I'm walking into our green room. This room is another side room next to the theater. We have our concessions here. We also have a lovely dance mirror. You can see me looking at myself in the back. For dance performances and for rehearsals. We offer space grants for artists, so a lot of artists will use our space to develop their own work, whether those are dance performances, choreographies, or visual arts. Here's another view of our garden from this green room. And there's the front of the building, and we have this lovely garden outside. Some trees that are about 150 years old. I love those trees. Those are our beautiful windows. The building definitely has a lot of visual appeal. We've been called an architectural gem, you probably saw from the outside. And we tried to preserve some of those elements on the inside as well. I'm going to take you all to one final spot on our tour, which is, so I mentioned that Flushing Town Hall served as a courthouse from about 1898 until 1960. Let me see if we can get a shot of what that looked like. So here I am, and behind me is what it looked like as a courthouse. Here's what the town elders of Flushing looked like in 1887. And I'm about to take you into, so when it was a courthouse, people were held, and we had a little jail. And this jail is currently our artist dressing room, but we still keep the original jail door there. And our Wi-Fi isn't that great here, so I'm gonna just have a, and there's the jail door. And do you still have me?
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. So now we're going to go up on the stage and show you a little bit of this. Here is what our theater looks like from the stage view. You can see some of those beautiful windows and some of Flushing. We have a fantastic Steinway D that lives behind these doors. A lot of pianists like to play this. So yeah, love that piano. But I'm not so much a piano player. I'm gonna play for you guys a little bit of violin. Give me 1 second here. We'll get to see a performance on an empty stage, empty house. I've actually been a couple times doing some performances here just to make recordings, just to fill the space with a little bit of music. So yeah, here's your very own performance at Flushing Town Hall. So I'm going to play a couple pieces. I'm an Arab violinist. I play traditional music from Egypt and Syria. I'm going to play 2 pieces from Egypt. One is a more recent, a couple decades old piece by a fantastic violin player from Egypt called Abdou Dagher. This is his Sami Kurd. I'm going to play one other short piece. This next one is a belly dance number from an Egyptian movie from 1960. So you can imagine if we had a couple drummers and a dancer, it would be a lot more fun, but still a lovely piece from a movie called Rumor of Love from Egypt. So we just call this piece Rumor.
Thank you.
Sure.
Everyone is now unmuted, so you can hear some of the applause.
Sure.
And you can see one of the chats
Justin,
excitedly say private concert while you were playing. So thank you so much. I believe some people have questions, so I'm going to let them ask them directly. So Rhonda, do you want to start?
Sure. Thank you very much for that wonderful tour and private concert.
Absolutely.
I would like to know more about the exterior architecture. We saw the photo on the cover, you know, when we were waiting,
Right.
and the exterior is so beautiful, and especially including the color of the bricks is so beautiful. Could you
Thank
please
you.
tell us a little bit about the exterior?
Yeah, it's considered a Romanesque revival style.
Mm-hmm.
So you have those, I don't really know all the architectural terms, but you have those little turrets and things on the end. Yeah, so it's 1862, and a lot of town halls from that time period were built with that particular style.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's not being an architecture buff. That's pretty much all I can tell you about it, except that
Okay.
we have done our best to maintain that exterior. So there was a period of time when they actually painted all the brick white
Oh, no.
for a couple decades, yeah. And that came down, and then we've done some repointing, and there's some beautiful brown window curvature
Yes.
on that side. So we've been maintaining the roof. Part of our mission here, the city actually owns this building. So we, as an organization, we're a private nonprofit. Flushing Council on Culture and the Arts is our actual name. But the city owns the building, and so we steward it on behalf of the city. And that part of that is maintaining it.
Great, thank you.
Howard, I believe you had some questions.
Yeah, definitely. Listening to Sami play the music just now, I'm in awe of what he was able to do with a violin, knowing what instruments are used in the Middle East. What instruments were those pieces originally made for?
For the violin. So something to know about something to know about Arabic music is the violin has been part of Arabic music since about the 1850s.
Wow.
And so the violin is actually the descendant of bowed stringed instruments from the Middle East, which were brought to Europe in the medieval period. The rabab is the name of the traditional instrument in the Arab world. It became the rebec in Europe, and the viol in the viol family. But the violin was brought back by Europeans to the Arab world, to Syria and Egypt, and then by 1900 it became the main bowed instrument used in traditional music. So those pieces, the first piece I played was actually by a contemporary, still living Egyptian violin player, Abdel Dagher, from a couple decades ago. And the second one, this mid-20th century period in Egypt featured, it's kind of like Bollywood. So in Cairo, they produced a lot of movie musicals, and they had orchestras essentially playing traditional music, but a lot of violins, a violin section. And so that piece, the second piece I played, would have been with a violin section, and of course a whole bunch of drums.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
I have one more question. You told us that Flushing was its own city and that this was built as the city hall, but it's called Flushing Town Hall. So what's the difference, city, town?
Maybe I should have said it was the town of Flushing.
Oh, it was a town. Okay, good, thank you.
And the thing to know about that is, so the 5 boroughs of the city were incorporated in 1898. So a bunch of the a bunch of the towns in the New York City area, especially in Queens and Brooklyn, they were independent. And then in 1898, everything became part of the city. So this building stopped being the town hall. It was the seat of government for a while.
Right.
People still confuse us for the seat of government. People come asking for their marriage certificate, and we send them to Borough Hall. We say, but if you want to come see some great music and dance, then come see our theater.
Good, thank you. That's helpful. Now I understand.
Sami, I know that in the restoration of the town hall, you guys discovered the proscenium of the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any more details about that?
Yeah, I don't really know very much about that. Hold on, can you mute me for 1 second?
Yeah, let me find you. Well, I'll say a few words. Some of the fun facts I took me on a tour maybe a year or so ago, besides the proscenium being found and the jail cells, was that one of the key cases that happened here in this courthouse determined that men were no longer allowed to kill their wives' lovers. It was a landmark case that was widely covered in the newspapers of the Victorian era. Originally, a lot of those cases could be acquitted through the defense of what they called dementia americana. So it meant that people who killed their spouses or spouses' lovers were arranged for a short period of time. And so that's how, for example, Harry Thaw, who killed Stanford White, was acquitted of that crime. So if you go back in some of the historical newspapers, you see these fascinating photographs of crowds in front of Flushing Town Hall, because it was just such a high-profile case. I'm trying to see. The specific case was about the novelist Thornton Haynes Jenkins, who killed William Annis, a magazine editor and friend of Captain Haynes, at the Bayside Yacht Club, him 8 times. It gets even better. Thornton Haynes had written to Captain Haynes while he worked abroad about orgies allegedly happening at Fort Hamilton involving the captain's wife. There's that story. And the other fun fact that I loved is that they, of course, they had a cornerstone. All these buildings built at this time always put time capsules in their cornerstone. And Flushing Town Hall actually still has many of the items that were in that cornerstone. So I got to see like the original deed when I went to visit. So lots of fascinating things there.
I think it's good
Thank you. Yeah. And yes, thank you for mentioning the time capsule. The time capsule is actually back. We've returned it back to the Museum of the City of New York. And they had a fantastic CIG exhibit recently. So if you want to go, you can see the time capsule at the Museum of the City of New York. But yeah, it has some like dresses, some business cards, some newspapers with little bits of the Civil War. A lot of fun stuff.
Cool. Anyone else have questions? Michael Caine. Michael Caine, I can't believe you don't have any questions.
Well, I was going to say the Harry K. Thaw trial, but I don't have my book right here, but the Harry K. Thaw trial was the one that actually established that precedent.
Ah, I see. Okay, so then this one reversed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, once this is all done, I hope all of you guys will go see some concerts and programming at Flushing Town Hall.
Yeah.
There's a really great variety of things that happen there.
Yeah, we hope you'll come check us out. We are launching some online programs. So if you follow us on Facebook, are you going to share some of the links to our webpage?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing a Flushing Town Hall at Home program. We're live streaming some of our prior concerts, and we're also developing some new content with some of our teaching artists who themselves are out of work. As I mentioned, we serve a lot of school students annually. So these really wonderful teaching artists, we have one, a Colombian drummer who produced a video earlier this week. We're doing that, and we're going to be looking into other kinds of things. And of course, if people are willing to support us in this time, people have probably heard about the challenges facing cultural institutions. But definitely consider going to our website and showing us some love there. But yeah, we'd love to see everybody back when it is time for people to come gather in public again. Let me show you one more time this meeting house across the street, just so you have another view of that. And of course, there's a lot of amazing Chinese food in Flushing. So if you like that, you can come. And it's a great food destination.
Sammy, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
The Smithsonian Curiosity Council sent an email out to everyone this week that they opened up the Smithsonian's to virtual tours. Are you connected with those tours from what you just described?
We are not really. So, you know, we're as an institution, like I'm showing you here, we're a Smithsonian affiliate.
Oh, gotcha.
We're not actually a Smithsonian institution itself,
right?
Just an affiliate of it, which means that we can borrow from their collections, which we sometimes do. And we're sort of part of their network.
That's great.
But no, we're not part of their official tours. I think that has to do with the Smithsonian in Washington.
Gotcha.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sami. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. There's been a lot of chat saying thank you as well from people in our audience. So
great. Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Talk to everyone soon. Oh, don't forget. So next week we're going to have 2 events. One is not listed yet. Our member and guide, Jeremy Wilcox, will be giving a tour of Victorian Flatbush. So we're pretty excited about that. And then Augustin and I will be doing a talk about Secret Brooklyn, but focusing on outdoor places that are in the book that you can discover still during this time period. And we've got some other fun stuff coming up that we'll list and announce. So thank you for joining us. Talk to you soon. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sammy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.